So if I say, with the Relevant app, I can, inside of my vibe, I can say, yo, I got a show today. Or come to this address and you can see this show. And when you get to that address, I put my messaging within a mile radius, and when you get in it, you hear the other message that my show is actually in this warehouse over here. There's no walker bys, walker ups.
Yeah.
They have access to you and what you're doing. I think that's the dopest thing about this Relevant app based on the local thing.
Hey there, beautiful people. I'm Tracy Rigdon.
Plot twist, I am also Tracy Rigdon. Actually,
And this is the Contrast Project.
Yes.
We've been talking a lot about the election.
Right.
Early voting has already started in Florida. The numbers are really high. But we also know that the mail-in ballots, traditionally and over all the past elections that have had mail-in ballots, the largest number of people that are using the mail-in ballots would be the Democratic Party, and a lot of Republicans wind up showing up at the polls on Election Day.
Yes.
So right now, and we were talking about the polls, take them with a grain of salt, and don't get complacent, but get to the polls and vote. Like me, myself, I got the mail-in ballot, and I dropped it off at the supervisor of elections over a week ago, and it was counted within 24 hours. So I'm done with it. And already in the early voting, and including the ballots, the early voting has been over like 28 million people nationwide have already voted. In Florida, the numbers in favor of Democrats so far in the first day is almost 2-1. People that have voted over the Republican Party. So a lot of Democrats are showing up at the polls right now, and the numbers aren't aligned with it. But again, like we were saying with the polls, they can cause complacency in people, and as it gets closer to Election Day, fewer and fewer Democrats will show up, or fewer for both parties.
Sure.
It gets closer to Election Day, and then you'll probably see a big surge in Republican numbers.
Absolutely.
On the 3rd.
Absolutely.
You'll see a big surge. What are your thoughts about the problem we've been having with the mail-in ballots, or the supposed problem, perceived problem?
Well, I'd say you've got a couple different factors going on here. For example, an area like Duval County, for example, is majority Democrat in terms of just registration numbers, but you have like a pretty high number of Republicans and a lot of independents as well. I would say, generally speaking, for my lifetime, the Republicans, particularly on the local level, and also on the state and sometimes national level, have been very good at just the paperwork. Like Republicans always finish strong in elections. You look at 2016, Hillary was way ahead in the polls. No one was really expecting it to go the way it did at the end, but they have this way of pushing. Like you look at, say, early voting lines in Florida now. Good thing is that numbers are high. The higher the voter turnout, I always feel the better. And if you're looking at it from a liberal, progressive standpoint, higher turnout you have in a place like, voter turnout will definitely be a factor in something like the Deegan-Rutherford race. Is definitely a factor in like 2018. It'll be a factor in this election as well. But you never know. Like in the early voting lines right now, like any of you that have been out early voting, if you think about the lines that are there, some people have waited, 30 minutes to an hour. But a lot of people have cast their ballots in 5-10 minutes. Most of the people you will see in line for the early voting would tend to be majority Democrat voting. Like Democrats are trying to really lay down a strong foundation of early voting, mail-in voting now here and around the country, because they're expecting shenanigans and tightness. Like, if you go out to vote on Election Day, and I always like voting on Election Day. I like walking to my place, like, you know, I set aside an hour to go to vote, you know, because I'll go get some coffee, I'll go walk to my ballot, I'll go talk to people in line. I don't mind standing in line, it's whatever, but if you're going out to vote on election day this year, your ballot will almost certainly count, but you never know, you know. We're going to have a few thousand people that aren't allowed to vote on election day. A guy in, I can't remember where, was it Florida? Somewhere yesterday. Well, we're taping on Tuesday, the 19th, 20th or something like that. But Monday, like yesterday, when early voting was opening up, a poll worker didn't let people vote. Like 3 people weren't allowed to vote because they had Black Lives Matter shirts on, because you're not supposed to wear like political propaganda, which is ridiculous.
Right, right.
So we could have more of that, because you know the Trump people are going to be wearing their gear.
Oh yeah, you're going to see a sea of red at the polls on the 3rd.
Oh yeah, it's like some of these dudes wearing the MAGA hat in the shower. You know, they're just like shampooing the hat like it's their head. It's not even their head.
Not surprised.
You know.
Yeah. They're real staunch, and like we said, you know, on the 3rd, and you say you like going on the 3rd, or on election day.
Sure.
A lot of people will say that, because it's the experience of it.
But this year,
of actually going. And
this year I'm going to early vote. I'll still be out on election day, but I'm going to make sure my ballot is cast like I want to see it go into the box. Like,
yeah.
You know? And what's cool about, like, I live out in Riverside, so it's a fairly liberal area culturally, but it's also an area that Republicans always win city council races there. You know, Republicans usually win the mayor's race in those precincts, but I think they went for Hillary last year. I'm not sure. So, like, me being a progressive, voting in a Republican district, I feel more comfortable casting my early ballot, because I know that those votes will be delivered.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a district where they can expect good numbers.
With me, with the mail-in ballot that I got and dropped off, I went to supervisor elections. I'm in Clay County, so I went there and literally, I was the only one dropping one in, and as I was leaving, I saw another woman walk up. So it was just that quick. You know, I had it already signed and sealed and just walked up to the box and put it in. And then I checked it online the next day, and it had already been counted.
Yeah.
It was painless, super painless. But the one thing too, one of the other problems, you know, people were saying, you know, there might be, you know, like you say, shenanigans coming up with the mail-in votes and all that, and they've already received, you know, millions of them.
Yeah.
Another thing is the reduction in the sites where they can be dropped off.
Sure.
Reduction in the polling places, especially in rural areas.
Yeah.
And they were trying to pull that in Texas, and they eliminated some spots in Georgia as well.
Yeah.
So you're making it hard for people to get to the polls.
Harris County, Texas, population 4.5, 5 million people. Basically, the county around Houston, they had one mail-in ballot drop-off site coming into like this week in an area that size.
Right.
It's a big area, like a lot of people.
It'd take you an hour and a half to drive there.
Yeah.
If you lived at the far end of the county. And a lot of people in the rural areas don't have cars to begin with.
Yeah.
Or in urban areas as well.
Yeah, it takes less time for Trump to do his taxes than it does for someone to drive to like the ballot drop-off site. And so that ended up with a court action, and the appellate court ruled that they had to open it up.
Right.
You know, so the court says, you got to have more voting drop-off sites. You got to have more early voting drop-off sites.
That's right.
And you're like, okay, yeah, I'll have more drop-off sites. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Yeah.
Or the illegal drop boxes in California.
Yeah. Because
the GOP was putting their own boxes out.
Because that's how it is. Like, you know, despite everything that's going on, some people still care about the White House. And people still definitely care about a lot of these local races. So it's like, you know, people will definitely take that risk. And not just one side or another. You look at something like the 1960 presidential election with Kennedy versus Nixon. One of the most ruthless shenanigans on both sides. You look at the 1968 and 1972 conventions. 1972, one of only 5 or 6 times in history, and the last time, 48 years ago, when the Democrats and Republicans had their national conventions in the same city in the same year. They're both in like Fontainebleau Hotel, you know, and they'll never do that again because there's so much shenanigans.
Right.
I just like people just, you know, oh, the other party already left microphones in this hotel room. Fuck it, we'll just plug in our rig, and like literally, like that's literally the kind of thing that happened. You know, it was people you guys don't even know, and it gets into conspiracy theory, and one can argue and debate and believe for yourself what is true and what is not true, but everybody knows, whoever you are, wherever you are in life, you got that one thing that you want, that one thing that you'll go further than you would ever go for. And the White House is still the White House. Washington is Washington. Look at a place like New York. You go up to New York, we've been up there, we all have an emotional investment as Americans in New York City. You know, the capital of the world, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, but we don't live there necessarily, because it's like when you're up there, you either do your shit or you leave. Like, you know, it's like, I mean, you could be Jeffrey Toobin one day and then be Jeffrey Toobin the next day.
Shot in the foot.
Those moon phases will mess you up significantly.
Absolutely. Hey,
Yes.
let's move on.
Okay, it's a good idea.
Something that just came out,
Yes.
the Uplift.
Right.
The Uplift newsletter
Yes.
just came out.
It did.
Looks really good. If you don't have a way to get a hold of a copy, you can get a hold of the guys on Facebook or
Check it out. Like, there's one right there, but I also have a copy that we put in the oven earlier today. This is the cover. I'm going to walk y'all through it. This is Miss April Lanubrian Roberts. She is our cover feature this month, Mother of the Revolution. You look at it, you got this logo. See, these are words, and there's some more words here. There's a number.
I like words.
That's the number 1. Whenever you see the number 1 on the cover of something, that's something you should want to keep, because it's the first, usually. You got this little code here, this little QR code. You scan it, takes you to the website. You can lock the thing up. You know, here's some pictures of me. You can put it on your wall. Here's some words about me. You know, and double check with the FBI. Here's the story about April. The interview we did with her. Mal actually did the interview, but I wrote the article with the quotes based around it. It's a good combination of our sort of skill sets. And this sort of relates to what this is all about. The Uplift is done in conjunction with the Relevant app. So everything you see on the paper in the newsletter is also going to be in the app with additional stuff, all types of content, and it's an unfolding thing. I recommend you get it. It's very useful. Here's something about kinds of blue. Public Art Coloring the North Side. This is about Color Jacks Blue, our good friend Shawana Brooks and Roosevelt Watts, and a number of other local artists that are collaborating on this thing out on the North Side. Here's a little thing about the Relevant. This is an ad from our friend Akia. She does a lot of the business stuff with us. Whip smart, wonderful lady. Here's
and
another
a little ditty there about voting in 2020.
Yes, well, you know, everything's very well written, I must say. You know, whoever does this, like, needs more shrimp. There's an article about Edward Waters College out on the north side, and if you didn't know, Edward Waters has gotten, they've actually done very well during this pandemic period. They've gotten a bunch of extra funding and stuff that's allowed them to increase, I think, almost double the number of bachelor's degree programs that they're offering, and now they've begun offering master's degree programs for the first time. And they're doing a deal, I believe, people who had attended EWC in the past but were not at the present could now re-sign up with, I believe, free tuition and wiping out any student debts that may have already been incurred from their time there. Good. And the last thing here is a thing called Black Ink, about just a little look at the history of black media in Northeast Florida. This being the most recent incarnation, if I want to go back, talk about stuff like Florida Star, Jacksonville Free Press, your Ben Frazier's, your Rob Sweetings, Joyce Morgan's, Joy Purdy's, Tarek Miners, etc., so forth.
I see a lot of potential in it.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of potential in this.
Oh, yeah.
So if you do see a copy of it out there, get you a copy. If you can't find one, just get in touch with these guys. They'll see to it you can get one. And if that's not possible, download the Relevant app.
Yeah. And this is made of paper, so there's a lot of things you can do with paper, and you can do a lot of those things with this as well.
You can grab fish with it.
Yeah, you could. I suggest you
read it first.
I suggest you keep it. I suggest
you got to keep this first.
Yeah, it's the same size as the inner liner of a vinyl record. So you can just take a vinyl record and just stick your little uplifts in there and hang on to them, and they will accrue in value as the centuries move on.
I think it's a good thing. Much needed in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that.
Oh yeah. Congratulations to you for being able to read it.
It was a long process.
Yeah, you deserve it.
It took me a while.
You deserve it. You've earned it.
So this is going to be coming out every month, right?
Yes.
Once a month.
Yes.
And you'll be, as time goes on, there'll be opportunities for people to advertise in it.
Yeah. All that's there now. If you want to advertise it, if you want to write stuff, the more content, the better. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Shelton, it's been a pleasure, as always.
Yeah.
Glad we could get together and do this. We look forward to doing many more episodes for you guys. We want to first thank the Intergalactic Domination Studios.
Yes.
If you want to get in touch with the Contrast Project, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and
smash the subscribe button.
Smash those buttons. Yeah. That's what we want to hear. Until next time.
The first 1,000 episodes are always the most challenging, so stay tuned.
That's right. Peace.
Hey, yo, Mal, what's up?
Just trying to put you up on Relevant, yo. It's a new community chat app. I partnered with them to develop the Uplift, bro. We're off that other book, bro. We're doing the Victor Green style now, yo. Download ASAP.
Okay, cool. I'll download it now. Yo. All right. Yo. So I downloaded Relevant. What is the Uplift?
It's a new chat platform for the black community, exclusively on Relevant.
So what if I wanted to get my grub on with the black-owned restaurant?
Absolutely. In the category called Eat Up, you can find all the black-owned restaurants and grubbing in there.
So what if I wanted to go higher with my education at a historically black college?
Of course, you can find it inside of the Wise Up category. You can also politic with other black professionals on Power Up, a location-based community to do business and collaborate ideas. We got Speak Up for black community activists, Rise Up for career seekers, and Coming Up for talented rising black stars, all in one place. And the content changes based on the location of your city. Yo, it's going to be the next big thing. Find your vibe, exclusively on Relevant.